Views expressed in the videos are my observation, analysis of events, persons based on principles of astrology. It's not my intent to predict, forecast absolute outcomes, only suggest how they may unfold. Nothing is set in stone. I could be wrong, but often I'm right. My desire is not to promote fear, only inform about what we see unfolding. It is our wish to prepare our subscribers for events that could affect them, their family, their goals, and their future, to help to prepare for what you may already suspect is happening, and to send a warning shot across the bow and raise a flag of concern. Our goal is to help, not hinder, in these perilous times, to inspire and offer possible direction, and to reveal that a greater plan and purpose are behind all that is happening. Eventually, we will see a brighter day. If you would like to show your appreciation for our work on these videos or this channel, and also the Knowing Whispers channel, you can always click on the word thanks at the bottom of all the videos. The Astrology of Life YouTube channel and the Wisdom for Those Awakening YouTube channel, as well as my 3 Substack publications, Knowing Whispers, Messages from the Universe, Trump in America, and Deep Truths Beyond Logic and Reasoning. Today, the title of my video is going to be Trump's Inauguration and the Apparent Death of Democracy. Now, in case you're wondering, these types of videos are probably as difficult for me to do as they are for you maybe to listen to them. And I want to take the time to explain to you what I am going to be dealing with here, and to share with you insights that I hope that you will take the time to consider, because they will be offered in the hope that it will help you to understand and to deal with the things that you feel and that you see happening. Okay? Now, if you watched a couple of videos ago, I talked about what, in my opinion, was the most important signification in Trump's horoscope, that he would win the election. It could have gone either way, but obviously the reality of it is that because the Democrats have not risen up to challenge more deeply this election, that they feel that what actually happened is what America wanted, or what a large portion of Americans wanted. And again, it has to do with this Uranus on his midheaven. Okay, Uranus, of course, represents the unexpected. On a karmic level, it can indicate events that are destined to occur, that are unexpected, and that are meant to shake us up, to unnerve us, to cause us to question and to evaluate who we are, where we're going, what's happening. So this video is going to be talking a lot about that, okay, and about the proper way to understand and to deal with this, all right? Because there is a lot of boiling anger about what has happened. There is a lot of boiling rage about what is happening. And you need to both understand and you need to take some action towards it. And I'm not talking about the negative action towards it. Okay? The answer to this particular dilemma is not political, and it's not in the culmination of violence through the buildup of the pressure of hatred. Okay? That this type of situation is conjuring up, okay? And there is a reason for that. So be aware of the fact that there was a reason why that Donald Trump won this election. And it is a very profound reason in regards to the way of life as it is in America and upon the world, and whether or not we are ready to heed the call of both nature and of the situations in the world with how the world is governed. Okay, so much personal power is wasted and invested in giving the responsibility for our inner healing in our life onto one individual, whether it be a president, whether it be a king. There is a tremendous denial of that responsibility that goes on, okay? And you can get along with, or get away with that for a while. But eventually the things that need to be exposed and to be brought into the light from the darkness, if you ignore them over and over again, if you continue to push them in, you deny them, okay, through whatever means you may choose, ultimately at some point they're going to explode, okay? And if the pressure of that explosion is not measured, then what happens is that they explode violently, okay? So let's take a deeper look here, all right, about this particular chart, and there'll be some other charts here that I'll be talking about, okay? If you watched my video yesterday, I talked about the importance of understanding the natal horoscope. Because if you properly understand the natal horoscope, you can get a better feel for what's going to happen by the elections, such as transits and progressions. You'll know what the likelihood is of it being a very tragic type of situation or a very benefic or somewhere in the middle, all right? And this is significant to understand this, all right? It's been said by myself and many other astrologers, Vedic and also Western, that Donald Trump has a very powerful horoscope, okay? One that's very much about wealth, also about chaos, okay? About deception, about confusion, okay? So from a karmic perspective, Donald Trump is a fated individual, and you can take this any way you want it, you know, in regards to who you think Donald Trump is, but that's just kind of a distraction, okay? This whole situation that we see going on is nothing but a distraction from a very basic issue that every human being must encounter on their path of life, okay? And that is that within inside of us, we are in a deep denial of who we are. We are deeply afraid of that, okay? We would prefer to give our responsibility and our power onto another individual, a political system, or an individual in that system, and say, there, I don't have to worry about that, all right? But in doing so, you give away your power. You give away your ability to discover self-knowledge about the nature of yourself, why your life is the way that it is, why things have happened to you the way they have happened, and also any power to correct their effect upon you, all right? When that happens, okay, when you deny long enough, all right, that personal responsibility, Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto come into play. And they bring those unforeseen events, unexpected events that rattle us to the very core of our being. In some cases, people will positively respond to that correction. They will begin to see the light, so to speak. In other cases, those individuals will continue to bury themselves in denial through all manner of, factors, drugs, alcohol, religion, you name it. And all the while, they'll feel this very gnawing type of knot, around their heart. And they will suffer as a result of that. And they will condemn that suffering, try to drown that out, not realizing that that suffering in actuality is a friend, trying to point out to them the need for an inner conscious change within inside of themselves. Okay? Now, over here you'll also see two significant factors as we move forward here into 2025 concerning Trump. Pluto is very close to going into the house of health and service to others. Neptune is very close to going into the 8th house, of course, which is transformation. Okay. Also, psychic experiences and things of that nature, metaphysics, astrology, and all that stuff are covered in the 8th house. So, Donald Trump cannot avoid these changes, nor in all reality can he avoid his destiny. Okay? And that is yet to be determined. Okay? from the standpoint of his personal circumstances. The impact that he's having on America, the impact that he's having on the world, those are not deniable. Okay, it's obvious. We can feel it, we can sense it. Okay, and my concern as an astrologer and somebody who believes very deeply in the process of surrendering to our higher self is that those of you who are my members and subscribers, that you get the truth and understanding of what is happening so that you can prepare and you can personally decide how you're going to deal with it. I never have, and I am not going to begin to sugarcoat the circumstances that are happening. But I also want to say with caution that I can be wrong. But I do not rely totally on astrology as a way of determining what I feel could happen. All right. I also rely upon my inner guidance. I rely upon the feedback that I get often in both my channel and in my dialogue with other people who are aware and awake. So I consider many things, even human nature. All right. When you talk about something that is unresolved like this, and where somebody who is dreaded and hated as much as Donald Trump is, and now he is given the most powerful position in the world, and he is exhibiting erratic and irrational behavior, you cannot stop the feeling of dread and fear and the emergence of hatred. Okay? The dread and the fear is and has been growing. The hatred, okay, is the next issue that we have to face. And it's why this situation that is happening with Donald Trump is happening. Because what we're talking about here is not so much Donald Trump as we're talking about our own unconscious fear and hatred and ignorance, our lack of surrender to our higher conscious self, our lack of knowledge, conscious knowledge of how the universe really is. Okay? And this resistance, okay, will continue to build and continue to drag us deeper and deeper and deeper until some circumstance reaches a flashpoint to where the potential of violence is created and a domino effect begins to unravel things. Okay? That's potentially where this could go. Doesn't mean that it absolutely will reach that point. But just from the psychological perspective of human nature, when you take into the situation of fear and dread, okay, unresolved conflict, and then you move into, denial, and you move into the hatred, ultimately it is going to manifest in a form of violence. Okay? Donald Trump, in a positive sense, is a message from the universe saying, if you continue down this path of denial, this is what you're going to experience. Okay? So we have a very profound and deep question that we have to ask ourselves. Are we going to align ourselves inwardly with our higher self and our higher purpose, whatever that may be? Or are we going to allow this feeling of dread, this feeling of building hatred, begin to dominate our emotional body? Okay? And if we do, how are we going to escape the escalation of that energy? Okay? Most people don't know how. Okay? A lot of people feel like that if they pray enough, that it'll just go away. But unfortunately, in most cases, it doesn't. All right? Because the way to deal with the core issue of what's going on inside of you is something that is of a conscious nature. It is of the relationship you have with yourself, what's inside of yourself. Okay? And it mirrors itself in the events of your life that you see unfolding outside of you. Okay? So this is a very serious and profound circumstance that we find ourselves in. And I have wrestled with this for quite a while. I have always wanted to present to my subscribers and those of you that are members of the channel as honest an expression of what I felt within and also in the charts was likely to occur. But there was also that feeling I've had all along that I've mentioned many times, is that my main concern is how far will the universe take this? Okay, how far must the universe go with this point to drive this point home before a real significant awakening of mankind's consciousness actually happens? And it is happening. It is happening gradually, okay? But it obviously hasn't stopped what you could say globally is this kind of oligarchic type of dictatorship mentality that is going on around the world, to where people want to unconsciously deny their responsibility and give it to a political leader and hope that that makes it all go away. The end result of that is not good. Okay, it is not good at all. All right, so when I do these videos in the future, this topic that I'm discussing with you today, that I have brought into my discussions with the astrology for quite a long time, is going to be reminding you of your responsibility for your own inner healing, your own inner salvation, so to speak. Okay? And that denying that as you see things unfold will not make it any easier to be able to cope with those things. Okay? Fear is not going away. Okay? It's not going away yet, because we have turned in the direction of it, and we have, in a sense, tried to embrace it. Okay, so moving forward here with the charts. All right. Now, this is Donald Trump's progress chart on January the 20th, 2025. And I've shown this chart many times, and there's many interesting factors here. Okay? Many interesting factors here. All right? Mainly the one that intrigues me the most, I think, is the progression of his midheaven into less than 1 degree of conjuncting his Pluto in his 12th house. And if you remember the video that I did yesterday showing in Trump's natal chart that all basically of these planets in the 12th house, the ruler of the 12th house, which is the sun, are favorably aspected in the natal chart. And it is my feeling that this is why he has never spent time in jail. He's come close, all right? But there are such strong indicators of support for what is going on here that it actually hasn't happened. Now, if Saturn had been in there, you know, in a sense, at those times in the natal chart, it could have changed things. And you'll see here that Saturn has going into, by progression, has been going into this house. So, again, this kind of exemplifies the amount of loss that he's going through, but it hasn't totally imprisoned him. Okay? I do believe in one video I did several months ago, I showed you that in opposition to this point right here, that there is a part in the part of fortunes, I don't remember whether it's murder or assassination, that it is opposed to that point. And of course it's in the 6th house of health. All right. Transiting Uranus in his natal chart is going to square that Mars one more time in May. All right. So the circumstances that Donald Trump is moving into, okay, are not necessarily the joyous kind of circumstances. He may regret that he ran for the presidency, because he'll probably find that the resistance to his plans are much greater, hopefully, okay? Because as things are right now, I don't see the Democrats doing a whole lot of hell-raising. And as I mentioned to you earlier, that's really not the answer. And again, that's why I have a feeling like how far, how deep, how profound is the universe going to take this stuff? Are we going to see something as ugly as World War II? All right, I really don't know. I hope not. You know, are we going to see a massive situation where on the internet, everybody that is against Trump and that does the type of work that I do is ostracized and attacked, even though it happens on a lower degree. You know, MAGA is emboldened. Trump is emboldened. All right. But his karma and his fate may be running out. Okay. And then you have to wonder what's left. J.D. Vance, he can't hold it together. He doesn't have the karma, fate, and destiny for it. Okay. So we have a lot, okay, to be concerned about, but not to become obsessed by it. You know, I've mentioned this several times in my videos that you would be far better off to be spending time meditating, watching good, healthy television, all right? Maybe once in a blue moon, checking in on the current world situation than you would be to absorbing all of this chaos. Okay, particularly as it begins on the 20th, on Monday, because it feeds your emotional body. It feeds into your fear. It feeds into your imagination. And this is something that I have mentioned over on the other channel, the wisdom for those that are awakening. All right. One of the things that happens to you as you consciously evolve and you begin to merge with the oneness and you begin to merge consciously with your higher self is that your higher self begins to show you how your mental body, your emotional body, how your connection to the universe works, the effect that karma has upon you, how that your higher self will help you to deal with the residue of the damage of that higher self issues, karmic issues, and the judgments that you've placed upon those, probably in lifetimes, so that you can be free of those and that you can have the greatest hope and trust in the future for your life, no matter what that is. No matter what that is. Okay, nobody wants an American tragedy beyond what is right now a tragedy. But, you know, to use a term used by Charles Manson, helter-skelter, I think we're approaching very quickly here helter-skelter with what it is that Trump's proposing and what Elon Musk is trying to do and what those that are super wealthy are hoping will happen. And hopefully by now, and I'm sure many of you understand this, that the world and America per se are nothing but a huge marketing test, promotion, okay, materialistic outer covering, hiding realities, that the truth is not obvious a lot of times, and that people are acting like that if you do this, if you believe this, that you'll get this. And of course, if you're even minutely wise, you understand that's not the case. There's something more you need. There's something within inside of you that you have to have that all the money in the world, all the power in the world, all the fame in the world cannot give you. Okay, they cannot give you that feeling of self-love and wholeness. You have to go within and find it. Okay, and that's why all this is happening. All right, sometimes astrology can be a tremendous distraction to what it is that you are responsible for and what you need to do. It can uncover and it can explain and it can give you a timeline understanding of why you have been through things you've gone through. But it can't heal you. Okay? All right. Now, this is a chart of the United States of America as best we can determine in its chart of Trump. And again, I've done many, many videos on this, particularly talking about the 8th house, other people's money. Trump's Pluto and his Saturn, as well as his Venus, are in here. Okay? Those are pretty powerful planetary energies to be in this house right here, but it shows his impact economically okay, upon the country, upon us. It shows his propensity to rob and steal from us. Okay? All of these things are kind of an indication of the nature of who this individual is, what their intent and purpose is, and also why they are here. Okay? And you can't forget that. You know, as much as I have to go into these charts and talk about the variances and the different things here and there, I become concerned at times that you'll become too dependent upon my view or upon the astrology, and you won't be listening to the other message that you need to embrace. Okay, that message of your own inner responsibility. Because that's the only way that you're going to be able to combat, okay, the influence of hatred, of dread, and of potential violence. And I wish there was another way to say that, but that's kind of what we're up against. Okay? Now, other key points here. All right, this is, some of these I'll show you. They're in the latter part of 2024 on to 2025. There are some key factors here. You can see that on December the 8th, Uranus going direct, okay, was conjunct his midheaven. And then on the 22nd of March, all right, it appears to be going in reverse. Okay? So, anything can happen. All right? Of course, you know, Uranus has to deal with revolution. It has to deal with unexpected events, unusual things, things that are not easy to, you know, wrap your head around. You can see down here that in February and March, he has an aspect from Saturn, all right, to his sun, his moon. Very depressive type of influence, a very frustrating influence in which he probably will realize that his hope and dream, okay, of what we're talking about here with Uranus sextiling Saturn, of his plan, are not going to manifest with the speed and the urgency of which he is speaking. You have to keep in mind that every time Trump opens his mouth, he's lying. But he is speaking to the fears and the hopes of those that, for all practical purposes, are in denial about what needs to be done, what the core issue is. Okay? As we go forward here, you can see that in July, okay, Uranus is going to square his ascendant. Okay? Again, we're talking about either behavior that he exhibits, unusual, bizarre, strange behavior. It could be things that happen to him because Uranus is going to square Mars before it goes to there. You know, we can only be prepared for this feeling of insecurity in the outer world, okay? And again, as I mentioned in a video that I did over on the Whispers, or on the Wisdom for Those That Are Awakening, one of the things my higher self has drilled into me, okay, as I establish a deeper relationship with it, is to pay attention to my mind and my imagination, and that my thoughts stimulate the imagination, and this creates the emotional response. And if those thoughts are negative and fearful, okay, they can create all kinds of deception within your imagination, which can lead to actions from your emotions that are unhealthy and that can be harmful to you. Okay? So, going forward here, this may be the last chart that I've got here, but I think this is very significant. July, okay, the 2nd, is when his progressed moon is going to conjunct his Pluto. Now, you need to understand something here, okay? Donald Trump is not an individual that is not subject to, let's say, the karmic laws. He can't out-defeat death, okay, any more than you and I can. This aspect in particular, because it's in the 12th house, obviously has the inclination towards something like hospitalization, or something where he is his goals, his plans and everything are kind of thwarted, okay, by a Plutonian event, whether it be health or whether it be, something else, like an assassination attempt, something like that. But again, this could also be in his favor in the sense that it could take us deeper into a global chaos, okay? A more domineering, controlling energy upon the American life that for all practical purposes we've lived in, for my life, for 70 some years in a hope of a bright future. Okay? That vision is being sat on. And those of you who are watching my video, you know that. Okay? All the more reason why you have to go within and you have to make that relationship. And I want to check on something here that I had mentioned a little bit ago. Okay, if I can find it here. Okay, I'm looking for that aspect of Uranus squaring the ascendant. Okay, notice here that Uranus squaring the ascendant on July the 6th is in the same month that progressed midheaven squares Pluto. Okay, this is an important time. All right, it could indicate that Donald Trump has got till July to do what he thinks he's going to do. Okay, I do believe that if something happens to Donald Trump, whether by death or by assassination or something like that, that probably the second worst thing that could happen would be to throw the situation into J.D. Vance. Okay, because we're talking about people that most likely are not of the level of conscious fate and destiny that Donald Trump is. They're not the same being. All right, they're wannabes, but they're not the same being. So this could put a nail in the coffin of the Republican Party, but it could also create an absolute traffic jam at who's in control of the country. And I know that you and I, neither one of us want that to happen. Okay. All right. These are some solar arcs. Okay. You can see here that progressed midheaven conjuncts Pluto, and also transiting Pluto is squaring Venus on the 9th. So July is a big month for Donald Trump. Okay. It's a very intense month for Donald Trump. And it will be, as a result of that, a very intense month for us as well, because whether you understand it or not, the fear that you embrace, if you're embracing that fear, is almost as bad as somebody who is a MAGA devotee, because you're hooked. You're hooked on the fear that he has been preaching for about 6 to 8 years. You're hooked on a lie. And you're probably also in denial because you don't want to admit it. You don't want to admit that that fear and dread that you feel is the vortex of that whirlpool still trying to suck you in. And you haven't reached up for the life raft yet. Okay? And you need to. Okay, I think this is the last one that I've got here. We're back to the first one. So, all right. Trump's inauguration. The apparent death of democracy. It's not a pleasant video, but I feel it's an honest video. I feel like I've said things here that whether, they do actually happen, I feel a pretty strong feeling that these things can occur. Okay? And we'll just have to wait and see what the universe feels is necessary, what our karma, fate, and destiny is dictating for us all. And I hope for those of you that are aware and that are awake and consciously evolving, that you will continue to do so and follow your guidance and to do what you are being led to do to help to alleviate this very tragic, painful circumstance that we find ourselves in. Okay? Again, for those of you that have not had a chance to, I encourage you to come to Substack, the platform, to the channel Knowing Whispers Messages from the Universe, where I go deeper into how to understand and prepare yourself for what you're feeling and what you're going through. Okay? And as always, I will continue to give you, to the best of my ability, insight into the factors astrologically that are going on, and also to talk to you straight up about the necessity to take responsibility for your own inner healing and your inner growth. Thank you for watching, and I hope that you have a great weekend, and go Buckeyes. I'm a Buckeye.